That the Damian Lillard saga is over and we can finally be free from all the false reports and everything. Kind of wanted to give my final thoughts on not the trade itself, but this whole loyalty conversation in Dame and the way he's been branded the past decade. And like the title says, just have an honest conversation about Damian Lillard. Because while his time in Portland was very entertaining in the sense of just Dame balling out, being in the playoffs, things of that nature, and him being surrounded by mediocre to bad talent wasn't fun. I'll tell you, another thing that isn't fun is being branded as the guy who is loyal and the lone loyal star in the NBA, or one of the very few, or being considered a dying breed, quote unquote. Like, it was one thing when fans were saying, oh, Dame, he's loyal, he's going to be loyal to the city of Portland, he's going to retire there, things of that nature, right? But when Dame started calling out other players for quote unquote running from the grind, and players teaming up and players requesting trades, it set Damian Lillard up to be called a hypocrite years later when he decided he wanted out. How are you going to criticize Paul George for teaming up with Kawhi Leonard, especially at a point in his career where he really needs to win a title, and then saying that he's running from the grind, quote unquote? Like, Paul George really isn't running from anything if you really think about it, because winning a championship is not easy. It may be easier from the perspective of Paul George having a better team, but winning a championship is the grind. So you're not really running from anything, you're just kind of making the grind easier by having a better team. And now that Dame is a Milwaukee Buck, him and Giannis have been kind of like the poster boys of staying loyal to your team and things like that. And there were rumors a couple years ago of Dame and Giannis having interest in teaming up, but because both of them have kind of branded themselves as these loyal superstars who will never betray their city, they didn't team up until now. And I've had the player empowerment conversation on this channel. I've made it clear what it is to have a good front office backing you. I've made it clear what situations were actually players in terrible situations and not people over exaggerating. I've made it clear what a good front office looks like in terms of just surrounding your superstar with talent. And like I said in that video, Dame has every right to not want to be in Portland. He has every right to request a trade. He has every right to determine what his career is. But at the same time, when players make certain remarks like this, people are going to hold them to them. Do y'all remember Kevin Durant in that infamous tweet when he went to Golden State, talking about how everyone wants to be on the Heat or the Lakers? And he may not have felt that way at the time when he joined Golden State, but people were still definitely using it against him. And I'm starting to see the same pattern with Giannis Antetokounmpo as well. While he may not be on like the hardcore loyalty side of this whole conversation, he has still made comments about how he's like the loyal superstar and how he doesn't work out with other superstars and things like that. And while that is cool and different, you don't want to be branded as that guy. Like, it's one thing with the whole Kawhi and him being quiet, him not smiling thing. That's just like, something small. But when it comes to a player leaving a team, when it comes to loyalty, when it comes to not working out with other players and your relationship with other stars in the league, that can have a really negative effect on you. And I'm not saying that Damian Lillard can't be loyal to Portland or that he was wrong for being in Portland all this time. It's just when it comes to the GM, Joe Cronin, he's very clearly not interested in building a good contending championship level roster around Dame. He was just kind of cool with just letting Dame win 41 games a season, letting him just sneak his way into the playoffs. He was just cool with just doing the bare minimum, because regardless of how far the Blazers got in the playoffs, because they had Dame on their team, they were going to sell out playoff tickets, they were going to sell out their arena, they were going to sell merchandise, they were going to sell Dame jerseys, all of the above. I never said Damian Lillard was wrong for wanting to leave that organization, especially an organization that doesn't really care about what he wants in their future. And here's my theory on what happened during the whole process of Dame wanting out. To me, I think that after CJ McCollum got traded to the New Orleans Pelicans, and after that whole season wrapped up where Dame had that 50-point game against the Nuggets in the playoffs and his entire team just did nothing, I think that Dame really started to reflect on his career and his time in Portland, and he really started to look at it in a more realistic lens. He started to come to terms with the idea that the Portland Trailblazers are just simply not going to cut it. By that point, they've had 8 to 9 years to build something around Dame, and they just simply couldn't do it. and that's when Dame started hinting at possibly wanting to leave. And then this past summer, the Blazers didn't follow up on their promise of bringing more talent to the Blazers, so Dame requested a trade. That's how I think the whole thought process went. And again, because it's Damian Lillard, people are going to treat it differently. The guy who was Mr. Loyalty and the guy who said he was never going to want out. If this was anybody else doing this, nobody would care about what they said unless they were like going hard about the whole loyalty thing like Dame was. Nobody would care that much. And that's why I'm saying, when it comes to the whole anti-player empowerment movement, the people who think that the players have this insane amount of power, this insane amount of mysterious power that they just don't have. If anything, the front offices still have most of the power and leverage when it comes to trades. The only thing the players really have now is that the leverage now swings a little bit more in their favor. And to me, it was never about being loyal. It was never really about that. To me, what it was always about was Dame being able to hold up his end of the bargain and the front office being able to hold up theirs. If they were able to do just those two things, we wouldn't see Dame in Milwaukee right now. And now that Dame is in a front office that actually does things when their superstar isn't happy, that doesn't just sit around and just twiddle their thumbs during the offseason when important moves need to be made. No, the Bucks front office, when there's a change that needs to be made, they're not scared to make that change. In my opinion, that's what Damian Lillard really deserved when he was in Portland. Just a competent front office and a competent team. The only criticism I would have is Dame didn't put enough pressure on the front office to improve. And the only reason why he didn't do that was because he was just on this whole loyalty thing. If I'm Joe Cronin, why would I want to improve when I know you're just going to stay no matter how bad the team around you is? But those are my thoughts on Damian Lillard and the whole Portland situation, the whole loyalty situation. I'm excited that Dame is in Milwaukee. I'm excited to see how good our team is going to be. Definitely looking at this team a little bit more critically as the hype kind of died down. But I'm still extremely excited, man. It's Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo on the same team. But those are my thoughts on Damian Lillard. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Really helps push this video into the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. More videos will be on the way soon, and I'm out. Peace.